Is crypto gearing up for one of the biggest explosions we've seen in the last 2 years on March 7th? Or will this be another typical whale game of buy the rumor and then sell the news? Well, in this video, my goal is to try to help us understand what is likely to come and whether or not we should be prepared or not for it. But first, don't forget, make sure if you learn something new in this video to hit a like down there and help support all I do. I really appreciate that a lot. Subscribe with the bell on as well, guys. We're going to keep you up to date for the remainder of this bull run. Yes, all you bears, I do think there will be a bull run. So first of all, what is March 7th? Well, March 7th is the day we're going to have the first ever US government-hosted crypto summit. Huge stuff. And if you have a look at the lineup, there's some pretty big names going. All the names that kind of would carry through crypto's legacy here, and some of these big founders, right? We've got the old guys, the new guys, and really experienced people all around. I would have liked to see some, crypto founders in there from some of the smaller made in the USA coins. But again, this is a good start. The thing is, a lot of people are beginning to speculate on what may be announced at this summit, if anything at all. And here's the big problem already. When people start speculating heavily on these particular events, and when the market begins to price in a possible best case scenario, which it is right now. I mean, the market's going up, right? Bitcoin's price has soared back up to mid-90s. Then it really needs the absolute best possible case news to actually pump on the day. Otherwise, there is almost a 95% chance it's going to be a sell the news event. Some of these possible ideas here that have come to light include the actual announcement of the reserve, the crypto reserve, and all the different altcoins. Some of these things else mentioned on this particular list, like stablecoin policies, DeFi opportunities, AML compliance, like this stuff is great for crypto in the US, 100%. But will it be that thing that sends Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to that next level on the day? I do not think so. Unless, of course, the market makers decide to make that happen, which, given all the bullish news, I just don't see necessarily happening. Cynthia Lummis has also come out and said we are not going to be launching the Bitcoin, or now crypto reserve, at least until Congress is ready to accept the bill, which right now they're not. So immediately that disqualifies this. And this news has already pretty much been out. We already know of this strategic crypto reserve. So unless they add another 1, 2, or maybe a whole bunch of US-based altcoins, I don't see there being any huge pumps on the actual day specifically for altcoins. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's going to be a situation where we could pump, like I say here, based on crypto-specific news, like there could be against some of these things lifted off here that end up coming to fruition, maybe even a pretty big thing, right? But I just do not see there being something that really sends us too far above the all-time high, okay? There is a but, all right? So we could do all that. We could break through the highs, and based on everything I've said so far, maybe the best case happens and all of that is announced in some way, shape, or form. In my opinion, to sustain this, we need the macro to be favorable regardless of whatever happens with crypto. When I say crypto, I'm talking about micro. Micro, crypto, macro, the whole world, right? Everything else, in my opinion, based on what I've seen this cycle, is pretty much temporary, and based on temporary, it's manipulated by the whales, by the market makers, and so on. New money will come in a favorable macro condition, and that's kind of what we're waiting for right now. We are waiting for the big, massive pumps. We're waiting for massive vol season. We're waiting for the green zone, the last 12 months of euphoria. We're waiting for that period, and that period is really brought into fruition by new money. We have new money. You're probably new money watching this. I'm talking about people who right now don't even have the word crypto or Bitcoin on their tongue. And that comes, as you can see here, when the economy is booming. The top chart here is the US economy. As you can see over the course of time, from the highs to the lows, from the highs to the lows, has begun to sync with Bitcoin, or at least Bitcoin has begun to sync with it. And that makes sense when the US economy is booming, and therefore, as you can see down here, global liquidity, when there's money slushing around the universe, there is, of course, going to be more speculation in assets like altcoins. You see, the thing right now with crypto and Bitcoin specifically speaking is that Bitcoin, you've probably just got it in this box where now, at least, because of countries and large institutions are involved with it, you're going to have some of these financial advisors and some of these big investors, right? These guys who have these large portfolios looking to actually add it to their main portfolio. And while it is obviously in that portfolio, it's the furthest point along this risk curve they possibly are willing to go to. It's only until we have favorable macro conditions where people go outside of their risk tolerance and they're willing to accept altcoins. And again, mainly beginning with usually at least Ethereum. This is why I think, of course, Ben Cohen is particularly looking at Ethereum here and looking at a QT and QE. And when that does flip, we'll likely see, as based on history, Ethereum flip as well. It's kind of like a barometer for the entire altcoin space to begin kicking off. And that usually comes with, again, favorable macro conditions. So coming back to what I was saying before, favorable macro conditions, of course, comes from analyzing charts like this. When charts like this break out, Bitcoin will soon follow. But we have to also consider some things that may play out in the mid to short term, like the next, let's say, 6, 12, 18 months, that could potentially stunt the macro growth. And that's things like tariffs. The tariffs are looking like, obviously, they've sparked a trade war here. So they're looking like they may possibly stunt some of these particular charts, like the ISM PMI index, you can see at the top of this particular page. Also, we had just some pretty scary news with possible outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, with the rest of Europe possibly getting involved as well. Now, I'm not getting political. I'm not going to mention it other than just keep an eye out because, of course, you're not going to have these economies booming when everyone's worried about the big WAR. Okay, so just keep all of this in mind. And all that's to say, March 7th is a very much so crypto-specific micro pump. Yes, it involves the government. Yes, it could have some outlandish, crazy pump. But as it stands right now, be very well aware, the macro conditions, if they're not favorable, it's not going to be a sustained pump. It's not going to be a sustained move. And I need to add to this, right? There's always a but or an and or a consider this, right? Think about the whales. The whales right now are manipulating this market left, right, and center. They can literally put this market in reverse if they want to, hypothetically, right? It's just a joke. Okay, maybe a bad joke. But you can see here just how much money they're making with liquidations. So if you were them, okay, if you were whales, or if you, again, maybe more specifically centralized exchanges right now, and you were manipulating the market via market makers like Wintermute, it would make sense for you to keep the market suppressed as long as you could, because for you, you're able to dollar cost average while the market's propped up on buzz, on hype, and essentially you have so much more money sloshing around crypto because it's supposed to be a bull run where traders are longing and shorting on a whole bunch of leverage. So you're making money pushing this market up and down. Essentially, you're just adding more to your positions. You're just dollar cost averaging in this crazy hyperbolic business model. Okay, so this is just another casual day. And these guys so far have made, between them, almost $300 million. I mean, Bybit's revenue exceeded $1.5 billion shortly after they lost $1.5 billion in the Ethereum hack. Guys, I am telling you right now, if you could snap your fingers and put the market on pause to keep working a 9 to 5 job, to be able to put money into the market to DCA, you would. That's what these guys are doing right now. So I don't see them wanting to squander the opportunity here to force a pump, or at least based on crypto-specific news, have a pump, sell, freak you out more, and then buy the dip. Okay, they make money if this market goes sideways. The longer, the better for them. Now, one thing I want to also quickly mention before we push forward is how will altcoins react to this? Well, funnily enough, I looked into this today, and it seems that altcoins have almost a better correlation with global liquidity than Bitcoin. And that almost makes sense if you think about it. I'll overlay Bitcoin here in orange for you guys to take a quick look at this, but in my opinion, it makes sense that they do, simply because, again, altcoins are on that furthest part on the risk curve. Even, I think, at this point, further across than Bitcoin, because now Bitcoin, again, is being added to some of these guys' like main portfolios within like a portfolio complex, right? Within a portfolio structure. And of course, it's like usually the most risky asset they hold, so it's not always going to be as stable and staple in their portfolio. But altcoins definitely aren't in that realm of possibility for most of these guys. So, of course, when global liquidity goes up hyperbolically or down hyperbolically, you're going to have people aping in more and more, okay? It just makes sense. So, in my opinion, you can see the correlations here. It's not perfect. It's definitely, I think, around 80 to 90%, but it's something to consider. And in that case, we do have some more downside to come before going up. Just remember, if we see that Bitcoin over here has like a crazy negative reaction. Obviously, it's going up right now, so that's all well and good. But if it does have a very negative reaction to this news, it could send alts down, which again would fall in line with what happens here with global liquidity. This may be what we need here to eventually find the bottom. Now, the bottom is, at least in terms of global liquidity, set between mid-March, so the next couple of weeks, all the way through to the start of April. And again, we have tax season in the US. There is a few things I think we have to kind of eat up and spit out in order for us to get to the brighter side of things, but I do believe there will be a brighter side. So do not financial advice, of course, but at least myself, I'm not looking at this chart thinking to myself, oh, this is fantastic. It's confirmation the bull market's back on because we have a green day. I'm going to go buy. No, it's the complete opposite, okay? Analyzing macro to micro news, and of course, I'm just like, this happened before. The pump that happened before, right, with Bitcoin a few days ago. So just please remember this, 99 out of the 100 times that crypto pumps, it's usually not the breakout. It's usually not the point we put in higher lows and higher highs, okay? Almost always, it is a fake out of some sorts, okay? The event itself on March 7 is a crypto-specific event. It is not supported, at least right now, by macro conditions. And even if it is, even if we did have slightly positive moves in global liquidity and all the rest of it. Guys, again, like I said, the tariffs and the big WAR situation, I mean, there is some conflicting, possible short-term contingencies here that may actually bring us back down to these levels, if not lower. So keep that all in mind. Now, what I've done here is I've actually taken this particular fractal here. I've taken this, plotted it over here in this grayish color. And you can just see, again, this isn't to say it's going to play out exactly the same, but you can just see how eerily similar this actually lines up. Okay, so you can see it's not exactly the same to this, percentage, but that same sort of pump that does occur over here to the retracement of this U shape. We come down and we pump again. We come down, we're going up. Okay, so again, I'm not saying it's going to play out. I'm not here to play pretty pictures and draw stuff on a screen to make myself look smarter than I actually am. I'm not. All I'm saying is that this particular pattern plays out all the time. I mean, we can see it over here, right? You can literally see it for your own eyes. We have these continuous pump and dumps. It's only and usually when we're supported by macro pushes. Again, if I add in here global M2, you see the global M2 going up. That is when, in that trend, when we actually sustain those higher levels. I made a video a few days ago talking about how these whales are managing to get into our heads here with these periods. To cut a long story short, the way that they make you retail panic when we all are supposedly supposed to know that a bull run is 100% happening is to make the impatient wait. It's to make the gamblers not gamble, all right? Do you know what I'm saying here? It's to really get people so frustrated that they actually begin to go, okay, well, we're supposed to have a bull run, but is the bull run actually going to happen or not? This is the state in which they need to convince you of, okay? They need to put you in. And this can only happen, they can't pull the prices down, all right? So this can't happen by them just sinking Bitcoin down to 40K. Because if that was going to happen, people would completely capitulate and that would be the end of things. So the only thing I believe they can do is push the price sideways. And in the interim, like I said, just rack up more money to put into the market to make even more on the top side. Like I do with the private community. I tell everyone, right? When I put more money in the market, I don't want to make more money. I'm not sitting here going, I'm putting 10K in. I'm going to always make a 10x on that 10K. I'm putting that money in and I'm reducing my sell levels on my coins because I'm just here to achieve a goal. And these guys are likely doing the same thing. So what they're doing is able to likely move down their exit prices, so to speak, their expectations to just achieve a goal. So two scenarios play out in crypto. I mentioned this on a recent Ondo video, and that, by the way, played out perfectly. Scenario one happens a very small smidgen of the time, 10% of the time. In fact, it's buy the news, essentially sell the rumor, okay? So basically, there is a sudden event no one expects, like BlackRock falling for a spot Bitcoin ETF randomly out of the blue, boom, sends crypto high. Of course, whales take profit, send it back low again, then they accumulate, then they push it higher indefinitely. So this same whale accumulation point is down here. So it's this point down here, okay? And you can actually see that what they did here was accumulate, push it higher, and they pushed it higher based on the catalyst or based on the rumor that the ETFs could be approved soon. Everyone FOMO'd and everyone bought, and the expectation of that happening. And what happens 90% of the time here is they sell on the news of the actual full-on announcement that, hey, ETFs have been approved, they sell because they've made all their money. This happens almost all the time. I can't stress that enough to you. And in this case, like I actually mentioned on my Ondo video, I told you guys to prepare for this. It played out exactly with Ondo, is that anything short of an exceptional news on this day, because we were all expecting, again, the market's pricing in exceptional news. The market's pricing in great news at least, that there has to be nothing short of like 10 out of 10 quality news to pump the price higher on that day. The only exception is if by all means the market makers decide to turn on the printing machine, they start buying to artificially pump the price up and other people FOMO in. Again, we can't account for that. That could possibly happen, but in my experience, that almost never happens. It's almost always a way that these guys will make a quick buck off you. And considering they have a lot of shorts to clear from around these levels, and they'll want to probably come down and liquidate all the longs to make even more money, they're probably going to want to use this for another accumulation. The good news is that could time perfectly here with a bottom coming in, and then we could actually push up much higher, again, paired with macro events. I'm just mainly worried about this playing out, so we'll have to see. I'm not saying this will happen for certain, of course, but again, just some things for you to consider. Ondo had a similar situation recently with the Ondo Summit. Funnily enough, we're having a crypto summit. This was the Ondo Summit, okay? We knew there was going to be some massive stuff happening. Again, unveil the next era of finance. And again, on the day, actually before this happened, I said there's two scenarios that almost always play out. And what ended up happening here, this red line you're seeing on your screen was this 90% possible chance, scenario 2, of happening. And guess what? Scenario 2 played out. Like I said, I mean, it chopped sideways for a bit here, and then we came down, as you can see. Okay, now we obviously started coming up here a little bit recently, and we're up again now based on the summit news. But again, there could be even more downside into some of these coins, so you need to be prepared. You have to understand how this stuff works in crypto, guys, and the only way you know how it works is by learning by experience, is by learning from mistakes. That's how I learned, and again, you just have to be in the market for a little bit of time. So be very careful out there. This event's happening in a couple days from now, or maybe about 1.5 days. So I want you guys to, again, do what you want to do. I'm not here to push you either direction because, of course, you'll blame me if something goes wrong. It's entirely up to you. Seek financial advice. Of course, this isn't financial advice. It's just based on my personal experience, a classic case of just wait and let's see what the market decides to do. I don't think altcoin is going to 3x based on this news alone. Again, unless there's like, some crazy news that launches, which I almost doubt at this point. I think the market's pricing it in right now. Take good care out there. All the best. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.